What is up, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Lovely Loners. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at this Curtis Knives large F3 flipper. Let's go ahead and stack this thing up next to a PM2, get that sweet size comparison going. This knife is on loan to us from Sid. Follow him on Instagram here, and pretty excited to be taking a look at this knife. I've been eyeballing Curtis knives for a while. They come in, all kinds of different shapes, sizes, colors, and everything like that. And so when I had an opportunity to check one out from Sid, I was super pumped. So you can see here, compared to the PM2, the F3 large is going to be significantly larger. It is thicker, it is wider, it is longer, and it is ultimately a massive knife. It is definitely reminiscent of the Bodega, although because it doesn't have contoured handles or contoured frame, it's not quite as bulky or thick feeling in the hand. Definitely fits in the hand a lot better than like a Bodega does. I can get more of my hand around it. It's just a pretty large and it's borderline unwieldy, quite frankly. So let's go ahead and jump into the features and flaws on this one. And the first thing that I want to talk about is the fact that I believe it is too big and not in the fun way like a Bodega. And what I mean by that is that this knife is large, but it's the same design as, the F3 medium, and sort of like the compact, although the compact has some differences to it. But, there's something about a large knife like a Bodega that when you hold it here, I actually have a Todd Big Steelcraft Glimpse here, which you can see is just about in the same size caliber. And the thing that's like fun about a Bodega is it's a really extreme design. It has a lot going on. There's a lot of flair. Even this is a production Glimpse. It's a G10 with carbon fiber inlay, and there isn't too much happening here, right? It's not too special of a knife when compared to other Bodegas. You guys have certainly seen quite a few Bodegas on the channel at this point, and yet there's still so much more happening than there is on the F3, and I don't know. I'm struggling to correctly describe what exactly I mean, but something about a Bodega is just super fun, where, even though it's super big and unwieldy and something that you wouldn't consider the most useful or practical everyday carry, it's still something that you want to show to your friends. It's still really exciting. It's got all kinds of cool stuff going on, and I don't know. Something about it feels special, and so the size doesn't quite deter you as much. Whereas the F3 is just so utilitarian, and I do understand that there are customized versions and that you can get these in different colors and finishes and everything like that. But there's still something brutally utilitarian about this knife that makes it big in a not fun way. It's just a little bit unruly, a little bit unwieldy. Now, of course, that's entirely personal opinion, but I do find that the knife market in general, especially in America, has been really focused on big knives for many years, and we seem to be transitioning to smaller knives in general, and I think that's for good reason, and I think the F3's, this particular large one, is a good example of that. It's just too big. And so, like, moving on from that point is that the ergos on this knife, the ergonomics, they don't make any sense. This index finger cutout is too big for one finger, okay, and too small for two fingers. So if I try to stick two fingers in there, I'm jammed up, it's not comfortable, and then if I try to stick one finger in there, I have to choke all the way down on the knife. Look how far down I'm choked on the knife. Like, I'm nowhere near the blade. It's a super unhelpful way to be holding the knife. But that's the only way that I can hold it without my middle finger just being stabbed by this like weird hump, right? Like, this is how I want to be on the knife, and I can't, because this is just right here, right in the meat of my finger, super uncomfortable, doesn't make any sense at all. So while I thought that this translated to a smaller size on the medium would be better, I actually tried a medium at blade, and it's like they didn't even change the size of the choil. It's just like this side gets, or this end of the knife gets shorter, and then that's it. So the ergonomics here really not working for me when you hold the knife down here. It's just like when I have it like this, it is comfortable, but like I said, I'm too far away from the blade really to feel super comfortable. And then it does delightfully have a finger choil, which I'm super appreciative of. So let's go ahead and choke up on the finger choil and then look at the situation. Now you can see once I'm in the finger choil, the ergonomics are a lot better. My middle finger does want to go into this cutout here, while the rest of my fingers are comfortable all the way down on the flat side of the handle. So I definitely feel like I have more control. I definitely feel more confident holding the knife. But now my longest finger is the one going over the shortest part of the knife. So now my middle finger isn't. I have to like jam it up into my hand, or have it resting on the fat of my palm here. And overall, that just doesn't. The ergonomics just aren't great. They're not terrible. The knife still functions well, and ultimately, if you were just doing generic EDC tasks, I don't think it'd be something you particularly notice. But again, like I say in lots of my videos, the market's just so big now, and there's so much to choose from. And when you're looking at spending $800, $900, $1,000 on a knife, and you have options like this, I feel underwhelmed by just the overall design and everything that's happening here. That said, this knife is minimalism at the highest quality. It, from a mechanical standpoint, is functionally fantastic. And so I'll talk a little bit more about that right now. It all starts with the absolutely killer action that this knife has. Another thing that you'll notice real quick before I jump into the action is that the centering on this knife, let's see if I can show you, is so perfect. The grind suggests that it's leaning a little bit to the right, but that's actually just the grind, not the tolerances. And so the centering on this knife is great, and then the action on it is spectacular. With this knife being so particularly large and having such a heavy blade, thumbing it isn't going to quite work as well. But you can see I did just get deployment there. So with enough of a pull, you're good to go. And pretty much any knife can be made to fail by using your thumb to open it. So I have to say, deployment, super smooth. Smooth in a way that I haven't really felt on other knives. It's kind of a whole different thing. It almost feels like the knife is actually, the blade is actually levitating between the two sides of the frame, and like it just doesn't feel like it's interacting with the frame at all. It's really fantastic. You can see that as soon as gravity takes hold of the blade, it will completely pull itself shut. I'm not moving at all. I'm not shaking at all. All you need is gravity. Now, of course, you are assisted by the aforementioned weight in the blade, and when I went to Blade Show and got to play with some of the mediums and stuff, granted, those were all new knives and they were not broken in, so please take this with a grain of salt. It's unfair for me to speak about something that's not broken in, but I was not impressed by like the F3. I thought that it was the medium. I was hoping that it would be as drop shutty and as fantastic as this knife was, because I actually got this on loan before I left for Blade Show, and I was sorely disappointed. So if they do break in and they get like this, please leave a comment down below. I'd love to find out that there's a positive end or positive light at the end of the tunnel for that one, but the action is certainly better on the large thanks to the weight of the blade as far as I can tell. Again, it is limited experience. Please take it with a grain of salt. But that is the way that I feel. However, on this particular knife, this action is, it's world class. It really is a world class action. It's right up there with the higher end Shiros and the Thorburns. It is spot on. So I have to give them credit for that. Moving on, I will say that the jimping, it works, but it's a little bit too aggressive, as you can kind of see. Pull the knife up here. It's like a bunch of little daggers, and boy does it feel like it. These things will absolutely tear up your thumb if you run across like this. But that said, if you do get pushed in, they act a lot like what are they called? The little spikes on shoes, like cleats. Gosh, I haven't played sports in a long time. I'm totally out of it. But yeah, it acts a lot like that. So you can definitely dig into the jimping, and it is functional as it is on the heel of the knife as well. But I would have appreciated something maybe a little bit less aggressive. I also feel like this is going to do a number on my pants over time. Flipping the knife open, the blade grind, I really like the blade grind. It's kind of this interesting little compound grind. You have a hollow bevel right here, and then a flat bevel up here towards the tip, which is pretty interesting, and then a rather large flat all the way across. The entire blade is finished with a working finish. It is a light stone wash, which I appreciate. I always enjoy working finishes on my blades. And overall, you've got this drop point shape with this Japanese tanto. So you have a straight cutting edge here, and then a sharp point which moves its way into a curved, lightly curved belly up here, which is tanto, and then this curved belly makes it a Japanese tanto in name. So that's pretty cool. I definitely appreciate that. I like that the plunge grind is very soft and everything, and all comes into the choil very well. You're not going to cut yourself here. This is fairly well kind of faded so that you don't snag yourself on the tip here. So I definitely appreciate that. And of course, as you look through the rest of the knife, you will see that there are 45-degree angle chamfered edges around the entire knife. You've got them on the inside over here. And overall, it's a very soft and comfortable knife to hold and feel, except for when you get up to that jimping. And I definitely appreciate that. You can tell that even though it is a minimalistic design, a lot of work did go into the machining of this knife to make it top notch. As far as the clip goes, the clip is fine. It functions well. I still need two hands. But it's nothing crazy. It's nothing out of the ordinary. I prefer clips that are a little bit longer, but this one does extend out far enough that you're going to be able to sit over even the thickest of pants. So that's not a problem. And then the note that I really just want to finish on with this one is that this knife is of extremely high quality. I just don't know if it earns the price tag when compared to other knives that you can get for $800 to $1,000. Like I pointed at the Thorburn, even this full custom Gavco, they're right around the same price point. Even this Integral Custom Knife Factory Tegral, I understand that you can get them customized or in custom versions straight from Curtis. They offer all kinds of different colors. Sometimes they do like stippled or dented finishes and stuff like that. And the knives look great and everything. And I can certainly appreciate that. And the machine quality here is very high. But when you are looking at this price point, I just can't help but feel that there are better options. Like I said, I tried lots of F3 medium and large customs at Blade. None of them really excited me, but I would not be doing this knife justice if I didn't mention the fact that the caliber of machining overall is impeccable. It might be some of the best machining, if not the best machining I've ever seen on a knife. But my positive views of the knife mostly end there. And so it was a bit of a bummer. I was super excited to be able to try something like this and to explore how well toleranced everything is and all of that. It kind of seems to me it's kind of like the flipper version of a Sebenza, right? I mean, that's basically what's going on here. And so for those reasons, I can appreciate it. But again, when I'm dropping that level of cash, I personally want something that's got a little bit more flair to it and just feels like there's been a little bit more effort. Again, not to say that there hasn't been effort put into this, but this whole thing top to bottom is made by a machine. And while that doesn't necessarily push me away from the knife, it does when we're at this price point and at this level of customization. So anyway, that's all I pretty much have for this one, guys. Thanks so much for watching. You can, of course, send me a lovely loaner just like Sid did by emailing me at tovarishworks@gmail.com. Go ahead and follow me on Instagram to see beautiful pictures of all these awesome knives at tovarishworks. And thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.